guys, welcome back to the Smitty and D Show. I am Tony D. And in the studio, guys, you may have seen her on NBC Nightly News. Also, she was a host for Yell for the Culture with Yandy and Mompreneur. Is that right? Okay. She was a host for that. But she is a doctor of nursing. She has an amazing story to tell. We're going to dive deep into this. And she is a beautiful woman inside and out. Welcome to the studio, Dr. Ebonee Gresham. Hi, friend.
Hi.
She's pretty. The glow up is real.
Thank you.
You don't look like what you've been through, girl.
I know that's right.
You don't look like it.
Yes. God is good.
I'm just going to get straight into it.
Let's do it.
Dr. Ebonee, you have 8 kids. 10 now. Total 10. What had happened?
What had happened was...
Give it to me.
I had my first daughter at 16, so I was a teenage mom. I had my daughter at 16, went on to Howard University, and got pregnant again. Got pregnant again with my second daughter, and I was 19, and dropped out of college. At that point, felt like life was over. Made a lot of poor decisions, had a lot of the wrong people around me. And one baby led to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. So by the time I was 25, I had 6 children by 3 different men. Yes. And so now I have 10. And that is because I had 6 when I met my husband. He had 2, and then we had 2 together.
Okay, let's just pause for a moment, okay? So, statistically speaking, this is not supposed to happen.
Right.
You had all these kids, and you still got married.
Yes. Still found love, or love found me.
I want to go back for a second. You said that you were 16, you had a kid, and then you went to Howard. Did you bring the kid with you, or did the kid stay home?
The kid stayed home. So my daughter stayed home with my mom.
Okay.
My mother took care of her.
Right.
She was going to take care of my second child, and I said, no, this is the bed that I lied in, literally.
Is that accountability? I smell accountability on a woman, a black woman?
Yes.
Oh my God. What is the world coming to?
Yes.
Yeah. So the second kid, Howard, and
then I had my third child, and then my fourth child, and like I said, 5th and 6th.
So during that time, what are you doing? What are the men doing? What's going through your head?
It goes back to my childhood, of not having my father in my life, and so now I know it was looking for love in all the wrong places. I was searching for what I didn't have, which was that love from a man, beginning with a girl and her father. I didn't have that. So I know now as an adult, as a woman, that's what I was looking for, but I wasn't getting it. So you think that these men love you, and they don't. And I wouldn't even say men, because like I said, they're boys. They were boys. I was a girl. They were boys.
Let's talk about it. These men get such a bad rep, right?
Yeah, they
do.
But
we choose them, right? Right? And they say that women are more mature, right?
Right.
But we chose that boy, and you knew he was a boy.
Right, yes. All the signs were there. The red flags were there. Can
you walk us through some of them? Some of those red flags?
Giving you an STD.
I'm sorry, what now? Sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you're 16 years old, you don't know what's going on.
Wow.
And you go to the health department to find out that you have a sexually transmitted disease. What does that tell you?
He's out here in these streets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you are so blinded by what you think is love. You want to raise this boy to be a man, and you can't do that. You can't do that. So by the time you have children, now you just want the family, right? You want the family that you dream of, that you didn't have. And so you stay, and you stay, and you stay. And before you know it, you look up, you got 6 kids with 3 different men. So again, it goes back to poor choices.
Poor choices. Let's talk about some of these women that are out here, this generation, I don't know, Z. We're older.
Right.
We're wiser. We know back then that it was very difficult to correct women. How can we correct the mistakes of the women that are literally, they're going through this stuff now? How do we do that? Because you've got the red, sexy reds and the I don't even know these girls' names, but they're promoting this lifestyle.
Right.
That you lived through to tell. I mean, literally, you do not look like.
Oh, thank you.
How do we fix this?
It starts first and foremost with yourself. Taking accountability, going back into your past and realizing where you made the mistake, right? Being that person that you would have wanted at that time, that sister, that support system to let you know, hey, you're going down the wrong path. See, I was an only child, so I didn't have siblings, or there were no aunts and grandmothers there. You know, going back to it takes a village, it really does, you know. And then just getting to a place where we're not so big on just judging one another, but really helping and supporting. So I'll give an example. When I had my children, my family would talk about me. Right? Oh, here's Ebonee with all these kids. She's having more children and blah, blah, blah. But why not just help? Why not help? You know, if you see a need, help, support, you know? And like you said, with this generation, they don't want to be judged. And they should not be, because we don't know what they had to go through, what they were coming up, you know, dealing with. Some of the same issues. There's no father in the home. There's a single mother. You know, they're in foster care and foster system and different things like that. So it goes to just, like I said, supporting. Education is really important, and supporting, and not being judgmental, but really being truly genuine and providing support. We don't even have the grandmothers anymore in the home. You know, there's no more grandmothers in the family. They're either passing on, they're 30 years old. I mean, I'm 43. I could be a grandma. Thank God that I'm not, but I could. You know, my oldest child is 27. And so we don't have that wisdom there anymore. We don't have, you know, grandma, or, you know, whatever, you know, you called your grandma, the big mama, to tell you, girl, you're not wearing that lipstick going out here. Girl, you too young to have, you know, that hair down your back. We need that again. Because nowadays, girls are 7 years old wearing lipstick on TikTok.
And weave.
You know, fully developed, 12 years old, looking like they're 25.
Speak on it.
Come on now. So we need to have that in our community. We need that back in our community.
Why are Black women not accountable? Why don't they hold themselves accountable? I know that you said a little bit about, you know, the culture, family, absent father, but, you know, they're older now.
Right.
Why are they not still taking account? Why are we not taking accountability?
I think it's the illusion. It's the illusion. Social media, it's an illusion. Everybody wants to seem like they're perfect, you know? And so with that being stated, you don't want to tell the truth. So if you're not being truth and honest with yourself, then what does that make you? A lie, right? And so you're not being accountable for the things that you have done, because you haven't even realized the things that you have done. You haven't held yourself accountable. And then you have to forgive yourself for the things that you did do. But the illusion makes you believe that, oh, I didn't do anything. There was nothing wrong with what I did, you know? Or like I said, just the falseness of it never happened.
Wow.
And it did.
And it did. How are you different when it comes to your children compared to another one, and which you may not know? most of our audience, I grew up on foster care.
Oh, wow.
And I went into foster care when I was 6, and I stayed until I was probably 18. My dad ended up having to become a foster parent to get me back when I was 16. But my mom, I'm the oldest of 13.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
And you're talking about my mom, no accountability, didn't graduate from high school, didn't get a driver's license, stayed on welfare, 3rd generation welfare, raised my sister, so lives with my sister. Sister's on welfare too. So there's all of this stuff, and there's no accountability. And the problem is she sees her mother doing it, and then her mother sees, you know what I mean? And then her child sees her.
Right.
And it's a continuation, a cycle of a problem. How do we fix it? Oh my God. How do we fix it? So my question is, why are we not accountable? I know, again, social media, but how can we be accountable? What does that look like?
It looks like getting therapy.
Ooh.
Getting therapy, healing from your past traumas. You know, again, like I said, it's the illusion of nothing is wrong with me when it is. You know, I think for me, I wasn't able to actually get therapy when I was younger, and when I had my children and growing up, I was in survival mode. You know, and when you're in that mode, you're just doing, you're just going, you're going. And especially for me to have my children, and that was all that they had, I had no choice but to keep going, you know. But for me, and I think going back to that accountability, is I knew I wanted more. I knew I deserved more. I knew my children deserved better. And in order to do that, I would have to do better. What is it that I want to instill in them? I didn't want to give them that legacy of, you're going to be a teenage parent. I don't want to leave them that legacy of, you're going to be on welfare. You know, have I been on welfare? Yes, I had to. You know, that was that security blanket that I needed for a moment. But after a while, I threw that blanket off, and I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to shine. Let's rock and roll. You know, I needed that safety net, and that's okay to need that for a moment. But to just stay on it, absolutely not. Holding myself accountable first. Because once you know who you are and whose you are, I don't need what the system is giving me. That is just temporary. That was a temporary place for me to be in.
Okay. I feel you.
Yes.
This is a real question now. You had 6 kids and then 8 kids. There's so many women that were like you.
Right.
Now you're married. What made you so different? What made your story so different? And what did you learn?
I think what made my story different is that I didn't let my circumstances hinder me. I didn't. Even when I met my husband, I was ashamed of where I was. But one thing I told him, and he remembered, is, this is not who I am, and I won't be here long. So yes, you met me on welfare, you know, 6 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. He didn't know, but I had just come from being homeless with my children. You know, he later found that out.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
There was one instance where he picked me up from my job, and they had the stopper on the car where if you don't pay your car note, they'll put the device
One of
on
my
it.
staff members had that. Yeah.
Where you, because my credit was so bad, so I had to go to one of the little second,
Yeah, pay here, buy here, yeah.
Right. And so I had to call him, you know, and this is when we're dating. I had to call him, and I said, I need you to come pick me up. I was so embarrassed.
Oh, God.
I was so embarrassed. And he came to get me, and I had to explain to him I didn't pay my car note because I didn't have the money. And of course he paid it, you know, but at that time we had to go pick up my kids from daycare because it was right when I got off of work. You know, at the time I was working as a medical assistant, probably making $10, $11 an hour, you know. But again, I knew I wanted more. I just needed time. I just needed time to get it together, right? And make a plan, a strategic plan of how are you getting out of this mess. And that was nursing school.
Wow.
That was nursing school.
So that was the life-changing thing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
So now you're a nurse. What made you want to get your doctorate?
Good question. So there's a story behind that as well.
I'm ready.
So with me going to Howard University, I went to Howard to become an OBGYN.
Okay.
That was what I wanted to do. Because I dropped out of college and my mother never saw me become a doctor. My mother is now deceased. Okay. So she passed away over 18 years ago from lung cancer. But I just said to myself, you will see me become a doctor. And so that was me. That was a tribute to my mom. Me walking that stage and them pronouncing me as Dr. Ebonee Gresham. So for me, it was personal. You know, to some people, it's just for the name. It's just for the title. For me, it was personal.
You're married now. What does the life look like before versus now? And a lot of women out there are single. Can you speak to the joys of marriage versus singlehood? Because they got y'all out here thinking that y'all can be single till you're 65,
Right.
but you're going to be lonely.
Yeah. The before, so I was an only child. So there are some pros of being single. And I would say for me, it's just having that you time, you know, being away, you know, but you're not really away if you got kids. So you have to kind of steal time away, you know, but the loneliness does come in, you know, and you want that companion, right? So the now I have that companion. For example, coming here today, I'm like, you got to drive. I need you to drive for me, you know? So it's your pastor, it's your best friend. He's your social worker, your doctor, you know, your chauffeur,
Right.
your Uber, like being that person there to carry that burden that you used to carry. Now saying, give it to me.
You
I
can
got
share
it.
the load.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a big difference. You know, a lot of times we try to be that strong, single Black woman. Why?
Yeah.
Why? And God said to me, you don't have to carry that. I've given you a helpmate. And so the now is just the grace and the mercy and the love, you know, that I get from him. Even coming in, stepping in, taking care of 6 children that were not his. That's a lot of kids.
Just give it up for that. It's like, oh my
That's
God,
a lot of children.
he's not paying attention, but this is amazing. That alone,
That's
sir.
a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids.
And they drove him crazy.
I'm
They
sure he did.
They did. They're older now.
Sure they did.
I remember my 24-year-old. She said, "Mom," and she told him, she said, "Dad, I think we drove you crazy, didn't we?" And I was like,
Yeah.
But he stayed.
He stayed.
You know, he stayed through the good, through the bad, and the ugly. He stayed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what sort of things can women look for in a mate now? So you're a grown up. We talked about when you were, you know, dating and
Right.
dating boys. You're dating a man now. What's the difference between the boys and the men? Help these kids.
I'm gonna try. So I would say the difference is he sacrifices for you. He sacrifices for you.
Wow.
A boy is not going to do that, right? A boy is looking for what you can do for him. A man is looking to do for you, and that's that true sacrifice. Being a provider, right? Providing you the things that you need as his woman, right? A protector, protecting you. And I'm not just talking about security protecting your heart, protecting your soul, protecting your spirit. You know, my husband prays for me. I can call him and say, hey, I'm getting ready. Today I was going somewhere. I said, I need you to pray for me. You know, interceding with you when you need that the most. That is what a man is supposed to do for you, right? That's what you're looking for, that sacrifice. A man that says, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to go to God and I'm going to get it. Having that spiritual connection is most important, It's most
Yes, it
important
is. Yeah.
because for me, being a strong alpha female, I need a man that I know I can trust, right? And I can follow.
I love that. Now we talked about the boys and men.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the girls and women.
Mm-hmm.
You were a girl. You made some choices.
Yeah.
Now you're a woman.
Right.
What's the difference? What are the differences now
Ooh.
between that girl from yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of women that think they're women, but they're
Mm-hmm.
operating like a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it.
It's a big difference.
Explain.
You see those red flags, you know, you see them, acknowledge them.
Mm-hmm.
You know that they're there.
That's the difference.
That's a difference. It's a major difference.
So doing something about it.
Doing something, put some action behind it, you know. And again, going back to the accountability, like we talked about, be accountable. Get in the healing that you need. Stop trying to look for a man, right? And you heal first and let that man find you, but let him find you whole and healed versus you taking and carrying that trauma from relationship to relationship to relationship. That is the difference. You know, you can only find what you attract. And so when you're whole, right, and you're healthy, you're going to attract the same thing. When I was a young girl, I wasn't healed. Hence why I was attracting the men that I was attracting. And when I look back,
That part. I'm sorry, continue.
when I look back though, they had similarities.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
But then when I look at myself in the mirror, this is what you were attracting.
Yeah.
They had different faces, different names, but their spirits were the same. I attracted that. I did. So then you look and you say, it's not them, it's me. It's me.
She got it, y'all. You preaching today.
That's real.
That's what accountability looks like.
Mhm.
That's intense.
Mhm.
Because I think that people don't realize they want to blame the other sex.
Right.
But you attract what you are, not what you're not.
Right.
You attract what you are. So if you're getting crap, that's because you are.
You're full of crap. You know?
Yeah. Because you'll have women talk about, well, these baby daddies, they're disappearing, they not da 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 da. You attract what you are, honey.
You chose them.
You chose them.
One of my children's fathers, when I met him, he was lying to me. But again, I got my blinders on. I want to just be with him for whatever reason. He's funny. He's cute. Girl, when you look back,
Yeah.
he lied to you from the beginning.
From the very beginning.
The very beginning. You know?
I could talk about this all day. We have to bring you back, Chuck, because you on it. We're gonna switch topics now because we know you're in the medical field. Let's talk about Black women in healthcare, or Black people in healthcare. Period. What are some of the challenges that patients face, and what should they do if they go to the hospital and the doctors and nurses aren't listening to them?
That is one of the challenges. Of course, maternal, right? Infant death for the Black woman. Maternal rates are so high because when we say that we're in pain, when we say that we're hurting, when we say that we need help, no one believes us.
Do you think, though, it's the narrative that's being pushed out there that we push ourselves? We're strong Black women. We're independent. We're loud. You know, you can't tell us what to do. Whoop, de whoop, de whoop, de whoop. Do you think that has something to do with it, or do you think this is maybe systematic?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think it's both. Again, because I am on both ends, right? So I am the Black woman, but I am in the medical field. It's important for us to have that education piece. It's no different than us dealing with the LGBT community. You may not understand it, you may not agree, but get educated, you know? Get yourself educated to understand people, okay? And so even myself, like when I had one of my kids, I said, I'm in pain. No one came. I had one of my babies. I said, I'm ready to push. Oh, no, you're not ready to push. I said, this baby is coming now. No one listened. So it's important for us to just have that education piece of why. You know, sometimes a lot of, like I said, the trauma comes behind it. You're just looking for attention. You need love, but also You're in pain. So at the bedside, it's important for you to provide that support that is needed for that mother. Like I said, the mortality rates are so high. So high in our community. Why? Because no one's listening.
I'm going to tell you a story. I had my daughter in Alabama. And so I had my daughter, and then, I did have a daughter. And then I had a hysterectomy. And during the hysterectomy, they had, I'm back up to, they had, I'm going through surgery, so I'm not awake, right? And there's a operating room and there's a recovery room, as you know. Now, when you sign your documents, you only sign for one surgery. They can only open you up once. Interesting thing happened. I had the surgery. They closed me up. Somebody, I guess the nurse, counts whatever things that needs to be, counted, and finds out that, there's stuff still in the patient. Now, at this point, I'm in recovery. I'm sewn back up, right? I'm out. So I guess after it all came out, I don't know if it was 15 minutes, I don't know if it was 30 or an hour, but they brought me out of recovery, took me back to the operating room, opened me back up, and took those items out of me, stitched me back, put me back in recovery, and never told me.
Oh, wow.
I almost died. I went to into septic shock. Went home. My temperature was ridiculous, and I couldn't figure out. I'm a new mother too, so I don't know. I'm early 20s, don't know anything, and I didn't find out until I was probably close to 30, when my doctor here in Atlanta looked at my file and said, "Did you know this happened?" And I said, "No, I had no idea." He said, "You almost died."
Wow.
Like, we're looking at your numbers and all that other stuff. They never told you almost died. And so went back and decided to sue the doctor and, of course, the hospital, and, some stuff came out. And apparently this was a thing that has happened several times with this particular doctor. And come to find out that he was self-prescribing him some like medicine.
Wow.
And he eventually passed away. I think he OD'd or something. But
oh my God.
Had I known what I knew now, I would have made sure there was an advocate there for me. I didn't have anybody. That was one.
Right.
Two, I probably would have chosen a different doctor. I would have done more research.
Right.
And then I probably would have chosen a different hospital, because a lot of folks had passed away in that particular hospital. But that goes back to what I was saying, Black women, we there's some issues. There's some issues there. Yes. But I felt, because I was young and I was Black, they didn't owe me the opportunity of telling me what happened to me. I just knew that I got sick and almost died. I was like, wow, I'm just not getting better. Yeah. But it was because I was getting ready to pass away. And I was like, what is happening here?
And I had something similar happen, but that's called a timeout. And they're supposed to do that. That timeout is to stop everything to do that count. And so I'm just listening, and it's like, we know better in healthcare. Yeah. We know better. But I had something similar happen when I had my 5th child. And I began to hemorrhage really bad. And the residents were in there. So the supervising doctor wasn't there, who was my OB. And the residents were in there, and they're like, "Oh, you have to have an emergency C-section." Mind you, my 2nd child, I had a C-section with. So my first one was, vaginal. My second one was a C-section, and the rest were vaginal births after cesarean, or VBAC, right? And so with my 5th child, I'm hemorrhaging. I have no clue what's going on. And they rush me in and say, "You have to have an emergency C-section." And I'm like, no, I don't want this again. I never wanted to have a C-section again. I hated it. I was just like, absolutely not. And so I get to the back. They scrub me up, and everything. I get to the back. And so the physician comes in, and he's cursing. He's like, "What's going on? Bleep, bleep, bleep." And he eventually tells me, he said, "You can get this baby out now. We'll be okay." So I did. I got him out. I was like, "Yes, just don't cut me." So I had my child, and the physician comes back later to tell me that they had left me, the residents, to hemorrhage. And it was something that they had done that caused me to hemorrhage. This is what he told me. This is what he told me. And so I could have died. My child could have died. And so my son was eventually diagnosed with ADHD. And I always wondered if that was, had something to do, was a direct correlation to maybe he lost oxygen or something during that time, because I'm like, something happened at that point. But like you said, no one told me. The physician later, told me about it. But just imagine, I could have lost my life.
Oof.
And you have residents that are there that should know, medically, you're trained for this. It's just deep.
I've got so many stories. Once that situation happened, I found out so many. There was a story where my best friend, same hospital, had a baby, was due on Friday. They were getting ready to induce her. And the doctor decided to go take a golf trip over the weekend. That was that. And told her, hey, let's hold off to Monday. Monday rolls around, there's no heartbeat.
Oh my gosh.
The baby died. Another story. And I think this was in Birmingham. And I had to learn all this stuff because we did the lawsuit. Woman is having a baby, black woman. White doctor takes these, I don't know what these things are, these tong things.
Forceps.
Grabs the baby's head, right? Twists the baby's head off. No one knows that this kind of stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And she couldn't sue the doctor nor the hospital. Could you imagine that? This doctor twisted this baby's head off. What?
Right.
That's insane. Right. But all of these stories are happening to black women all the time, and we don't know anything about it because, one, Alabama, they have all these rules and laws that you can't really sue. They're not, they have insurance, this, that, and the third. It's insane.
It's insane.
It's so insane. So is there anything that you're doing right now to make sure that those things don't happen?
Well, definitely. Number one, just me being a nurse educator, right? Being an instructor, teaching these new grads, these new nurses about what it really means to be in healthcare. It's more than just a title. It's more than just the money and the degree, right? There are many times, oftentimes, you are the only person that is with that patient. The only person. See, the MDs are not with these patients like the nurses are, so shout out to my nurses. But
we love all the nurses. I've got so many friends that are nurses.
The nurses, yes. Yeah. Yes. Just being that healthcare provider that you would want for your family member. Yeah. It's really important. And also being able to be a whistleblower. I mean, if you have to blow the whistle, blow the whistle.
Blow the whistle.
Okay. Because if you see something, you say something.
Right.
Just doing right by people.
Before I get to my random questions, what do you want your legacy to be, Dr. Ebonee Gresham?
That's a good question. I would say being the woman that is resilient and that teaches other women to be resilient. It's like my book, The Grit, the Grind, and the Glory. You have that grit, right? You go through that grind to get to the glory. Yeah. And we all have a story, right? But it's how you progress through it, right? What's the ending? What's the ending going to be like? You're the author of your story. So write it. What is that ending going to be? Make a decision, make a choice, and write that book. It's your life. It's your journey. Make it what you want it to be. That is the legacy that I want to leave with anybody that comes in contact with me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All things, regardless of what society says, regardless of what your mama and them said, regardless of what you sometimes say to yourself. Mama and them. You can do all things.
Well, Dr. Ebonee, are you ready?
I'm ready.
For random questions.
I'm nervous. Should I be
Do you
nervous?
need to drink? You do need to drink. Take a drink. Do you need a swig?
I take a swig of this one.
I ask everyone this question. And the rules are, give me a straight answer, quick, fast.
Can we phone a friend?
Maybe.
Okay.
If you have something funny to say or a story to tell, you can do that, but straight to it. Okay, first question. I ask everyone this. What trend do you want to see go away? I'm tired of seeing it.
Oh, just came to me. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I would say the lace in front of wigs.
I was just about to say, were you about to say front of wigs?
Yep, drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. I've tried them, but I look like grandma with it on. It looks wiggy on me. So, I see like the young kids with it, like my daughters, for example. And I'm like, oh, it's so cute. I have like 6 of them at home. I let my little daughter play with them.
Yeah.
Nice hair, good bundles on it. It just doesn't.
Here's the trick. Put it behind your hairline.
Okay.
I'm telling you, don't, ladies, because you're going to lose your edges. I know. I've done this for many, many, many years. And they eventually lose their edges. It starts to thin out because whatever that chemical is in that glue is not meant for you to have long term.
Right.
And then the application and then taking it off, they're not doing it correctly. There's so much. It's not meant for what they're trying to do.
Right.
It's crazy.
But it was for TV and movies.
It was.
Right?
We
Okay.
talk about it all the time. It was originally, we used it in theater. So you put it on, you take it off.
Right.
But we are putting a cap on, we're protecting your edges,
Right.
and we're using a different type of glue. That's the other thing.
Okay.
So it can, you use your remover, you get it off.
But it's like everybody's looking the same now, and that's what I don't like.
where their baby hair is touching their eyebrows. Listen, y'all, it looks good for 2 days. After that,
that's it.
we see the lace. You know how they say, what lace? That lace.
That lace.
We see it.
Or like photography, take your pictures and then take it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Get back to the sew-in or your natural hair. That's what we
But
want.
can I do a part 2 of that question?
Yes.
Okay. So the other thing is the BBLs. So me being in the medical field,
Lay it.
right?
Tell us the truth.
Yeah. People are dying on these tables, And the other thing about it is once you get it done, so I've had a tummy tuck, right? Because I had so many kids and, my muscles separated. It was nothing I would be able to do, even after losing weight, exercising, everything like that. So I get it. Us as women, it makes us feel good when we look good. Makeup, hair, your body, everything. I get it. But we are going overboard with this at this point. It's no longer looking natural. Even the men are tired of it, They're tired of it.
And can we point out that you can't clean it properly? They're complaining about the smell.
The smell.
Continue.
The smell. But I mean, one time, okay, But what happens is you go in. I used to do post-op care. So you go in and you get it done once. Then you're going to want more and more and more. And you're not going to stop.
And that's just for the BBL or just plastic surgery?
Plastic surgery.
Wow.
Really? Yeah. Plastic surgery.
So they're dying on the table.
Dying on the table.
What's going on?
It's back to what we talked about earlier. It's the illusion. Everybody wants to have this built Barbie body. And most of the time, 99% of the time, you look fine. You are beautiful, just like you are, But again, it goes back to accountability. Just work out, change your diet, get disciplined.
You heard it from the doctor.
Be consistent.
Can you explain medically how and why they're dying on the table with these BBLs?
Yes, because there is there's a vein, right, in your gluteus area that there's an embolus. And once that embolus, so it's like a blood clot, goes through that vein, it travels through your body and it goes through your heart. And then you go into cardiac arrest. Okay. So a lot of doctors now are using ultrasound to kind of guide them, to make sure that they don't hit that vein, but still, right? I mean, you can die from a dental procedure. You have to think about the risk that you're taking just for vanity purposes. When all you got to do is some squats, do some running You know, get on the Stairmaster.
That part.
You know, that part. You know, but like I said, I'm not knocking it, so to speak. It's just being obsessed with it is the problem that I have. Being obsessed with it. And again, to where everyone's body is now looking the same. It's looking the same. We don't even know natural anymore.
No. Well, kind of, because those thighs don't match. that thigh to butt ratio is off a little bit. That's what they say in the street.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true.
What lesson have you not learned? Like you keep having to go through it. What's the lesson you've just not learned yet?
The lesson that I have not learned is to stop doing so much.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm like an overachiever.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. To where you achieve this, or you have this goal, right? And you achieve that. Now you have another goal. Or sometimes you have 5 goals on the table at one time, and you're trying to master all of them, you know? And sometimes I have to just tell myself, that's enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Pat yourself on the back, congratulate yourself for the things that you have done versus trying to keep adding more and more and more. Because then I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
You know? And guess what? It's self-inflicted. It's self-inflicted because you are putting all of this on the table. You are doing it. Nobody told you to do all this, you know? So for me, the lesson is slow down, just smell the roses, appreciate where you are. It's okay. It's all right.
I hear you. I hear you. What's the craziest thing you've ever done for love?
Ooh. You really want to know?
Besides having kids.
You really want to know?
Yeah.
So I stayed with my children's father even when he had a baby on me with his sister's best friend.
What? Okay.
Crazy.
Okay.
Deranged.
Okay. You stayed.
I stayed.
Did you help take care of the kid, though? Sis.
I did.
Sis.
Well, it was my heart for the child. The child
Sis.
didn't ask to be here.
Yeah, that's
you know?
true. But sis, you were like Viola Davis, child. I was his right next to you.
Yeah.
Taking care of somebody else's kid.
Crazy.
Wow. That's the craziest thing. Okay.
And we were pregnant at the same time. I'll take a drink to that.
Okay.
Same time.
That's awful.
And she babysat my children.
No! You know what? At some point, we just need to cross over into polygamy. Because this, honestly, we head that way. We really are. We're kidding ourselves.
Yeah.
We really are.
But you asked for the truth, so
Yeah,
I'm just giving you the
I
truth.
receive it. Biggest pet peeve.
People who don't listen.
What was that? I didn't hear you.
People who don't listen. So there is this bossy side of me. You know, I've been in leadership for a while. I've been a nurse manager. I'm a mom, you know, of 10. So, and my mother was a drill sergeant. So when I say something, I said it and I mean it. And if I give you direction or instruction, I expect for you to do it that way. And even if you can't come back, let me know why and when you can get it done. My biggest pet peeve, if I give you direction, right? I am very specific. The time, the place, the how, the when, the where. And so for somebody to not follow that just drives me crazy because I gave it to you. Were you paying attention? Drives me crazy.
Okay. Well, there you go. Favorite childhood memory?
I would say going to the fair, eating candy apples. I loved candy apples coming up. And I'd love to go get David's. They were David's sunflower seeds. Back then they were 10 cents.
Yeah.
So I would take $1.
Like the small ones? Yes.
I would take $1, penny candy, you know, all of that. And go to the corner store and go get that. So candy was my thing growing up. I love candy, penny candy, and candy apples.
Give us one thing you can tell Black people that they need to work on when it comes to health. Is there anything that's something we don't know? Because, for instance, I found out just by doing this podcast It's a group of black men. When they get to 50, they start falling apart. And there's this term called hospice wife. So
Never heard of it.
right. So I'll give you how it is. Hospice wife.
Okay.
So a hospice wife, basically a man above 50, marries a woman. Finally, he's been playing the field for 50 years, and now he's ready to get married. His body is falling apart. He's got hypertension. He's got diabetes, heart issues, the whole nine. And now he's ready to get married and settle down. So now he marries a woman maybe 10 years younger, or maybe in the same age group. And now he's marrying her, but only for him to have someone to take care of him in his later years. Because,
Right.
they lack for a better word, expire earlier than us. So what can you help? What can you say?
That's good.
What's a thing that we need to be looking at or working on?
Always mental health. I mean, that's the easiest thing to go to.
Yeah.
Just working on ourselves mentally. Like I said, we carry a lot as a community, you know, and the stigma of not getting therapy or counseling, even if it's going to your clergy, going to your church and getting spiritual counseling, at least starting with that, professional counseling. Mental health is always the go-to, always number one for me when it comes to medical and healthcare. It's mental health.
Most embarrassing moment, and that would be my last question. Can you think of like something that was just like, you know what, if somebody knew this?
Ooh. I don't. I can't.
She's trying to hide something, y'all. I think that baby mama, I think the man and having a baby probably hit it. That probably was.
Yeah.
That was
because before I started really telling my story, I didn't tell anybody that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't tell anybody that stuff. I was ashamed to tell anybody any of that. That is embarrassing, to a sense, until you again grow into who you are and you're comfortable in who you are, even if it's dealing with your past. So those are embarrassing moments for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend, my new friend, because you're about to be in the girlfriend circle. I like her.
Yes.
Thanks, Ebonee. Publicist. But it's at the end. And if you believe in God,
I do.
you're up there, and you're by the pearly gates. You're going in. What do you hope God says to you?
I hope God says to me, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
Do you think you did good?
I'm still doing. Still doing. So I can't say did because I'm not done yet.
Okay. Tell them where they can find you.
You can find me. I am Googleable. You
Hey!
can Google me. Hey, right? Dr. Ebonee Empowers, Dr. Ebonee Gresham on all social media platforms at Dr_Ebonee, EBONEE_empowers.
And the name of the book.
The name of the book, The Grit, The Grind, and The Glory. It is on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's on my website. Go get the book.
Can you listen to his audio yet?
Not yet.
Listen, I do that for a living. We might need to talk.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I do
love your
narration.
voice.
For real. Yeah.
I've had a lot of people ask me that question.
Yeah.
So, yes, let's do it.
I'm here for it. Well, again, thank you, Dr. Ebonee Gresham.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
I have learned so much, and I think everyone else has. It's been a very, very, very insightful interview. Guys, if you've enjoyed this interview and you want to see more of it, don't forget to like, share, comment, and of course, subscribe. But if you guys want to get in contact with us directly, you can reach out to us at info@smittynd.com. Again, that's info@smittynd.com. And until next time, guys, take care of one another.